Hello. Okay, The Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg's latest. It's been out in America for a while, since November the 11th I believe, so a lot of people have already seen this movie, but it's only just been released over here in the UK last Friday. So a little bit late to the show, but yeah. So the story of The Fabelmans is loosely based on Spielberg's adolescence and first years as a filmmaker, told through an original story of the fictional Sammy Fabelman, a young aspiring filmmaker who explores how the power of films can help him see the truth about his dysfunctional family and those around him. And just as a side note, Spielberg means an awful lot to me. The first movie I ever saw in the cinema was Jurassic Park, and that's the reason. It gave birth to my love of film and filmmaking, and so I was quite interested to see how Spielberg himself fell in love with film at such a young age, and just exploring that early life of Spielberg as he explores film for the first time. I was really interested in that. And for me, the moment in this movie that really resonated with me and struck me emotionally was, I say, the first 10-20 minutes of the movie, where you're introduced to little Sammy, played very, very well by I believe it's a Matthew Dafoe, I think his name is, the child actor playing young Sammy. He's really good in this. But that first 10-20 minutes just really resonated with me, because I had such a similar experience myself when I was that age, going to see Jurassic Park for the first time, at first being scared. I didn't want to go in, and then, you know, the darkness sort of scared me, and then as the film opened and just seeing what was on the screen, I was just awestruck as a child. I felt like they really captured that magical moment in this movie, where you've got young little Sammy watching that train on the big screen for the first time. And yeah, it just brought back a lot of nostalgic feelings and memories. You know, just seeing that shot of Sammy being amazed and in awe of what he's just seen, it just sort of really struck home. And even to the tiny, you know, that little moment where his mother asks him, what was your favourite part? It's those little moments that, yeah, it just sort of made me very warm and fuzzy inside. Let's talk performances. Gabriel LaBelle, who, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who plays a older Sammy, is fantastic in this movie. I think he really captures sort of the mannerisms of Spielberg. Just the way he holds himself, and just sort of those little nuances in how he performs the character. It felt like I was watching a young Steven Spielberg on the screen. He was absolutely fantastic. Michelle Williams, who plays the mother, Mitzi Fabelman, she is superb in this movie. Like, I felt her pain, her journey. She felt her performance was so real, and you could just see it in the eyes. She was fantastic in this film. You know, you just really feel and believe in her pain and her struggle and her journey, and she just, yeah, her performance just felt very real. And Paul Dano as the father is also fantastic. Everyone in this movie, in regards to performance, gives fantastic performances. And this is a beautiful looking movie as well. I really dug sort of the lighting and the colour palette, that sort of lighter tone. I felt like really captured that era in which this movie was based, even, and that era of filmmaking. I just felt the film overall just looked, it was beautiful. And there are some beautiful shots in this film. There's that one shot where you've got young Sammy and the projection on his hand, watching the train on his hand, and it's just a beautiful moment, a beautiful shot. And there's a lot of those shots sort of scattered throughout the film, and that classic kind of Spielberg magic, you could say. Yeah, it's just Spielberg, classic Spielberg. It's a very well written movie, very grounded, very real, but there's also a lot of humour throughout this movie, and as a result has this kind of light and fluffy tone to it. And it's a light and fluffy tone and that humour that really stops this movie from being weighed down by its sort of deeper and emotional and heartbreaking story. It is quite an emotional journey that these characters go on. At the same time, it maintains a lot of hope and joy as well. But I do believe its tone really stops it from being kind of weighed down by that. And perhaps that sort of leads me into my one negative with the movie. You know, this is a very well-made, beautiful movie with fantastic performances. But I do feel like emotionally, I wanted a little bit more. For me, personally, the movie lacked the emotional depth that I wanted. It's there. The story is there, and it's tragic, it's heartbreaking, but I just feel like I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to be emotionally moved a little bit more, but I felt like they just didn't really want to get bogged down by that, and so as a result, you know, the movie is a lot more joyful and hopeful, which a lot of people are gonna like, and by the end of the movie, do you know what? I smiled. You know, it does leave you smiling and feeling positive, even though what you've just sort of experienced, you know, is a little bit of an emotional ride. It just didn't quite have that emotional clout I wanted. And for me, what I feel this movie does very well is just capture the power of filmmaking and what it can do to people. And to just see that through the eyes of a young Spielberg, even though this is loosely based on Spielberg's earlier life, I really just feel like that very human story that we experience, that we see, really just amplifies the power of film and what film can do. It's a mix of someone falling in love with film, you know, that very magical moment when someone who, like myself, can relate to, you know, falls in love with film for the first time and is just captured by the imagination. At the same time, you've got sort of the reality that's going on behind the scenes of just being human. That very human story, for me, really amplifies the power of film and what it can do. So I just think it's the blend of two, the sort of the magical, imaginative side of it, as well as that sort of very real, deeper story which we experience. The two of them together just really sort of, as I just said, elevates the power of film. And yeah, if that makes any sense whatsoever, you know, whatever it is I just said, that's how it just came across to me. So yeah, The Fabelmans for me was a very warm, fuzzy, joyful and hopeful experience that made me smile. It made me giggle in places. But I also, especially sort of that first act, it just really resonated with me. I was able to connect to Sammy, and just the overall experience, it was a pleasant experience. As I said, for me, I really wanted just for it to be a little bit emotionally deeper, but that's just my personal gripe, really. Overall, I enjoyed the film. It's a very well-made film. I believed in the characters' performances. I believed in their journey and their story, and it was just a very fascinating insight into Spielberg's younger life. You could just kind of see that it didn't want to get weighed down by the negative aspect of what was going on in reality. But I just wanted something that sort of affected me a little bit more emotionally. I feel like this film is a very good example, and I think this is, for me, what meant a lot was it showed how much of an effect film can have on people. So yeah, they are my thoughts on Spielberg's latest, and I will be giving The Fabelmans a 7.5 out of 10. What did you guys think? Please let me know below and let's get a discussion going. Also, if you've reached this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to see future reviews and just general movie talk from a geek in Wales, then please hit that subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me, and I will be seeing you guys soon.